Is Oakville worth the extra money? If you're somebody who is looking to potentially move to Oakville, you may be wondering, should I pay the extra money and actually move here? There are so many other options, whether it's Burlington, Milton, Mississauga, Toronto. Why are people selecting Oakville and why are they paying extra money in order to get into this community? Being a real estate broker myself for over 20 years, I've been in Oakville since 1987. I've been here a long time. I've experienced a lot here. I've seen a lot of change, and I know a lot about Oakville. So I'm going to break down why I feel people pay the extra money to come to Oakville. And not only today, why people pay the extra money, but why people have paid the extra money 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, and even going back even further. So there are a couple of key things that are kind of undeniable when you look at Oakville. And number one, it's the schools. So schools, for the most part, as you begin your research and as you start to look into Oakville and compare it to other communities, the schools rank very well. So no matter what neighborhood you're in Oakville, whether it's Bronte, which is southwest Oakville, close to Burlington, whether you're in Joshua Creek, which is northeast Oakville, close to Mississauga, whether you're in College Park, which is central Oakville, whether you're in West Oak Trails, which is kind of like northwest Oakville. The schools in Oakville are all very good. There's no particular community or neighborhood where the schools are compromised. And as you know, as if you're a buyer potentially looking at moving into Oakville and comparing other neighborhoods and other cities, you know very well that there are certain neighborhoods within other cities where the schools are not good. So you avoid those particular areas. And not as the case for Oakville, like being somebody who went through the school system here all the way from, elementary school, middle school, high school. Even back then, many years ago, I might say, there was no real bad area in terms of the schools. So for a long time, schools have had very good reputation in Oakville. Now, which is a totally separate kind of conversation, is there are so many private schools in Oakville as well. And many people that are coming into Oakville feel that they need to put their kids into private school. So this is not a video to kind of argue the merits of, private school versus public school. I'll do another video on that. But for people that are coming to Oakville and putting their kids into the public school system, there is no neighborhood, there is no school that's an outlier that is bad. Oakville schools have been good now and in the past, going back many years. There's never been any major issues with Oakville schools, whether elementary and whether high school. So that's a really important factor why people come to Oakville and why people have been coming to Oakville for a long period of time. So another important point why people pay a premium to come to Oakville is the safety, right? At the time of recording this video, it is the summer of 2026. The world is a different place now than it was, say, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. But what is true of Oakville is it's a safe community, right? There's never, zero crime anywhere. So let's put that out there. I'm not saying Oakville is a zero crime community, but when you look at Oakville and the overall kind of, safety that you experience in a community like this, compared to other cities, it's quite dramatic. The difference in terms of the overall safety. And then you can kind of really break it down with regards to, neighborhoods and streets. That's getting very granular. But I think overall, coming back to the central question that that I got, and that's why I'm doing this video, is Oakville worth the extra money? You have to look at safety. It's a safe community, and when you compare it to other places that are other options, yes, Oakville has a very good degree of safety, which is very important for people that are looking to move to a community. Number three, which is really important, is commute, right? When people live in Oakville, depending upon where their job is and where they're going, getting to downtown Toronto is very easy, right? You have your central Oakville GO station, which is kind of in central Oakville, kind of like College Park, just south of Oakville Place. And then you have another GO train station, which is the Bronte GO train station. So back in the day, everybody used the Oakville GO train station because kind of that's where everyone was. And less people use the Bronte GO train station. Now, right, fast forward 2026, people use both the Bronte and the Oakville GO train station because, we have a larger population. So the ease of access to downtown is very rapid, very quick. You can get to downtown very easily, right? You're not taking like 2 trains to get to downtown Toronto. So the commute is straightforward, right? So that's an advantage to people wanting to live in Oakville, depending upon where their business is, right? If whether it's downtown, they can go downtown Toronto. If you need to go to Hamilton, you can go to Hamilton. So the commute is easy, right? Versus if you're somewhere, north of the 401 or along the 401, you're battling a lot more traffic to kind of, get downtown. So the commute for a long time historically has been a big draw to Oakville, right? Where it's situated, right? It's on the Lakeshore West line. You can get into downtown Toronto very easily. Resale is a really important one, which I've watched over the years, being in Oakville. And like I said, going back to 1987, so it's been a long time. When I've looked, and being in real estate as well, too, like as a real estate broker myself, having a close eye on the markets, you pay attention to a lot of things. So resale always stays strong in Oakville. And that's because it's a desirable community. It's where people want to live. When we look at downturns and when we look at buyers markets, which we are in right now, right? You look at the overall value that Oakville maintains, and it fares much better than a community or a town or a city that doesn't have these strong fundamentals. So it's no secret that some areas, when there's downturns in real estate, really get hammered, really get battered. Prices go down significantly, right? But when you look overall and comparatively to a place like Oakville, even in downturns, right? Yes, there's downturns everywhere, but the level of decline is not as great as some other areas, towns, cities, and property types. So resale has always been strong because it's always been a place where people want to move to. So really, really important. So why do people pay a premium for Oakville? It's because of the schools. It's because of the safety. It's because of the commute. And it's because kind of a hidden factor that people don't realize until they get here is the resale is very strong, right? When you look at it relative to the rest of your options out there. So would I buy if it was my money? Absolutely yes. I own an Oakville. I have for years. I help clients that are both buying and selling in Oakville. So I highly recommend it as an option if you're considering moving into Oakville. And is it worth the extra money when you compare it to, say, Burlington, Milton, Mississauga, Toronto? My answer to that is absolutely yes. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out anytime. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Take care.